The stars had always been silent companions to humanity, distant and cold, shining like tiny promises in the endless dark. For centuries, humans looked at them and dreamed of touching the void, never imagining that the void would one day look back. That day came without warning. In the far reaches of the solar system, near the outer colonies, massive shadows moved against the starlight. Ships unlike any human creation glided through space, enormous and menacing, their metal hulls reflecting the distant sun like black mirrors. They were alive with energy, humming with a strange rhythm, and they brought a silence so deep it made the colonists' hearts pound. First contact had arrived, but it was not peaceful. The news reached Earth in a wave of fear. Alien warships detected near Kepler 442b colonies, the broadcast said. Governments convened emergency councils. Military leaders debated strategies. Scientists frantically tried to analyze the ship's composition. People all over Earth stared at the sky, their faces pale, their eyes wide, hearts hammering in sync with the pulse of the unknown. Humanity had never faced anything like this before, and yet, somewhere deep inside, a stubborn flame of defiance flickered. Admiral Leora Kane stood on the bridge of the USS Dauntless, her uniform crisp, but her hands gripping the rail tightly. Her eyes, sharp and calculating, scanned the hollow map in front of her. 5 fleets, 500 ships in total, prepared to intercept the alien armada. Her voice was steady when she spoke, but the tension was a living thing around her. "This is our moment," she said quietly, more to herself than anyone else. "If we falter now, everything we built, everything we are, could end here." In orbit above Mars, the first human fleet waited silently. They were older ships, many built decades ago, but each had been retrofitted with new weapons and shields. Engineers had worked tirelessly, day and night, to prepare for a battle they had always feared but secretly hoped would never come. Yet now it had come, and there was no choice but to fight. Far below on Earth, ordinary people watched. Families clung to one another, children asked impossible questions, and the news channels ran continuous updates of the alien armada. Social media exploded with speculation, fear, and in some places courage. Street walls were painted with slogans: "We stand, we fight, we are human." People who had never held a weapon felt something stirring inside them, a mix of fear, hope, and unyielding pride. As the alien ships drew closer, their sheer size became apparent. Some were taller than skyscrapers, their engines glowing with a strange, cold blue. Others were long and thin, like knives slicing through the darkness. They moved with precision, as if every ship were a single mind, connected in ways humans could not imagine. They emitted no signal, no message, no warning. Only the silent, crushing presence of something far beyond humanity's understanding. Lieutenant Jaden Cross, just 22, sat in his fighter pod, hands trembling slightly as he gripped the controls. His squadron of young pilots was ready, though none had faced battle of this magnitude. "Scared?" his wingman whispered through the comms. Jaden's lips pressed into a thin line. "Terrified," he admitted. "But scared people die first. We don't die first." That simple truth, repeating in every human heart, was what made them different. Courage was not the absence of fear. It was moving forward in spite of it. Back on the bridge, Admiral Kane's voice cut through the silence. "All units, status report. Weapons online. Shields at maximum. Prepare to engage." The fleet responded in perfect harmony, a human heartbeat against the alien presence. And then, the first salvo of alien scans hit the human sensors. A wave of panic could have spread through the human fleet. Some of the ships trembled, their engines roaring to life. But the humans did not retreat. They held their ground. Even from a distance, it was clear the aliens expected submission. They expected fear. But fear did not rule humanity this day. Not yet. The alien commanders, whatever they were, observed. They had conquered countless worlds, defeated species with civilizations older than human memory. And yet, as their sensors picked up the human fleet, a flicker of uncertainty passed through their formation. One small fleet, insignificant by every calculation, stood ready to fight. One fleet had not yet fired a weapon, yet already it made. The aliens hesitate. Below on Earth, families stared at the sky through live feeds. They saw blinking dots in the darkness, tiny specks of hope in the terrifying shadow of the unknown. Children clutched their parents' hands. Adults whispered prayers, not for victory, but for survival. Humanity had been small, weak, and underestimated for so long. Yet something inside them would not bow. Admiral Kane took a deep breath and looked at the holomap. "Remember this," she said softly, but with iron in her voice. "They do not yet know us. One fleet may be small, one fleet may be simple, but one fleet has the heart of 1,000 human souls. Let them see it. Let them feel it. Let them fear it." The stars outside shimmered, and the alien armada drew closer, and somewhere deep in the void, a thought echoed through the alien minds. These humans. They are not like the others. And so began the first day of a war that would shake the galaxy, not because of technology, not because of numbers, but because of something far older and far stronger: the unyielding courage of humanity. The vastness of space felt alive that day. The human fleet moved steadily, cutting through the black, their hulls glinting under distant starlight. The alien armada waited, immense and cold, their weapons humming with potential destruction. The tension was thick, almost tangible, as if the vacuum itself held its breath. Humanity had never fought anything like this. Every heartbeat in the fleet echoed with both fear and fierce determination. Lieutenant Jaden Cross adjusted his helmet and looked at the alien ships ahead. His fingers tightened on the controls of his fighter pod. "They are huge," his wingman whispered, voice trembling. Jaden gave a short, steady nod. "Then we'll show them how small humans can hit big." His voice was calm, but inside, a storm of adrenaline raged. Every pilot knew the risk. They might not come back. Yet courage burned brighter than fear in their hearts. The first shot fired. It was not a barrage, not a massive attack, just a single pulse of human energy aimed at the nearest alien scout. The pulse struck the alien ship's hull, denting it, cracking its surface. Alarms blared across the human fleet, but there was no panic. Instead, a collective, unspoken resolve settled over every ship. One fleet had dared to challenge them, and one fleet had struck first. On the alien command ship, sensors scanned the human fleet, reading patterns, calculating potential threats. One ship, one small human fleet. And yet, they had moved with precision, with courage, and they had scored a hit. Something unusual stirred among the alien commanders, a flicker of doubt. They had defeated countless civilizations, crushed empires, and now they hesitated. Jaden's fighter weaved through beams of alien energy, small and agile, dodging attacks with impossible speed. He darted between massive alien cruisers, each move precise, calculated, yet daring. Behind him, other human fighters mirrored his courage, striking and retreating, a rhythm like a heartbeat against the alien tide. One human fighter, alone in one moment, became the symbol of defiance. Every pilot knew. It and every human ship that followed moved with the same fearless determination. Meanwhile, Admiral Kane stood on the Dauntless, observing the battle unfold. Her eyes did not leave the holomap, tracking every movement. "Keep formation," she commanded. "Do not overextend. Let them come to us if they wish." The human fleet responded with perfect coordination, a dance of steel and courage, small but resolute. The aliens attempted a maneuver, splitting their forces to surround the humans. But the human fleet anticipated it, shifting positions, countering, with precise strikes. One cruiser fell, another was damaged. The humans were not numerous, not powerful in size, yet their courage multiplied their effectiveness. The aliens, used to worlds bowing to their might, had never faced such unrelenting spirit. Back on Earth, broadcasts showed live feeds of the engagement. Families clutched each other, eyes wide as tiny human ships dodged beams that could destroy cities. The world watched, breathless, as humans moved like shadows, fearless shadows, against an enemy that seemed invincible. Children whispered, "Our heroes! They can do it!" Adults prayed silently, gripping hands and hoping, fearing, and yet, deep inside, feeling a swelling pride. Humanity was small, but it was alive, and it was brave. As the battle continued, Lieutenant Jaden Cross noticed a gap in the alien formation. Without hesitation, he signaled his squadron to follow. "We go in," he said simply. There was no arrogance, only clarity of purpose. They dove between two massive alien dreadnoughts, weaving through deadly fire. One by one, they struck critical points, damaging engines, disabling weapons, and creating chaos within the alien formation. The aliens, despite their advanced technology and experience, began to falter. Their confidence wavered, replaced by confusion. What they had assumed would be an easy victory was turning into a nightmare. One small human fleet, with fighters daring to risk everything, was disrupting calculations, forcing the alien armada to retreat, if only slightly. On the Dauntless, Admiral Kane allowed herself a small smile. She knew the victory was not complete, and she knew the cost would be high. But the first pulse of hope had been sent. Humanity had fought, and the void of space seemed calmer after the first clash, but the tension remained. Humanity had survived, had struck, and had forced the alien fleet to hesitate. Yet the humans knew this was only the beginning. One fleet had tested the waters, but the ocean of war was vast, and many storms awaited. Still, in the hearts of every soldier, pilot, and commander, pride burned brighter than fear. Back on Earth, the news spread like wildfire. Across every city, colony, and communication hub, the story of one fleet standing against the alien armada captured hearts. Children repeated the pilots' names like heroes from old legends. Parents whispered of courage beyond imagining. In schools, teachers spoke not just of science or history, but of bravery, determination, and the human spirit. Humanity had been underestimated, and now the galaxy would learn to respect them. In the alien armada, the mood had changed dramatically. Their ships, once disciplined and imposing, moved with tension. The alien commanders conferred endlessly in glowing chambers aboard massive cruisers. "They are different," one said, its voice a hiss of disbelief. "One fleet, and they dared, and they struck." Across the alien command network, there were murmurs of fear, something the species had not felt in centuries. The humans were small, fragile, insignificant in theory, but their courage had made the armada pause. Their hesitation spread like a virus among the alien crews. Admiral Leora Kane knew the moment was fragile. She stood on the bridge of the USS Dauntless, her eyes scanning the holomap. Her mind raced with strategy. One fleet had survived, one fleet had terrified the enemy, but survival alone was not enough. Humanity needed to show strength, to turn hesitation into surrender. "We have their attention," she said softly, almost to herself. "Now we need to make them afraid." In the outer colonies, humanity's engineers and scientists worked tirelessly. Reports from the battlefield streamed in. Damaged ships, new alien technologies, unexpected maneuvers. Each report was a puzzle, a piece of the strategy that would define the next engagement. From their labs and control centers, humans devised upgrades, new weapons, and tactics designed to exploit the aliens' sudden uncertainty. Even civilians contributed, creating drones, energy shields, and intelligence programs. Every person on Earth had a role to play, and the unity made humanity stronger than the aliens could predict. Lieutenant Jaden Cross returned to base after the first clash, exhausted but alive. He removed his helmet and let out a long breath, feeling the weight of what had just happened. Around him, other pilots shared quiet smiles, murmurs of relief, and laughter tinged with disbelief. They had faced something unimaginably powerful and lived, and more than that, they had made it hesitate. "Do you realize what we did?" he asked his wingman, eyes shining. "We didn't just fight, we scared them, and that changes everything." The aliens, however, were not silent. Across the Armada, reports of their losses and failures caused ripple after ripple of fear. Strategists calculated risks differently now. Ships that had once been aggressive now moved cautiously. Commands were repeated, orders double-checked, and every decision was clouded by doubt. The humans had done more than fight. They had shaken the very structure of the enemy's confidence. Back on Earth, world leaders gathered. Councils that had been indecisive now moved with urgency. Humanity could not rely on one fleet alone. The alien hesitation had opened a window, an opportunity that could not be wasted. Plans were drafted in hours, not days, for reinforcements, larger fleets, and faster deployment. Humanity's response would be swift, overwhelming, and unstoppable. Admiral Kane addressed the crews of the First Fleet, now back in orbit. Her voice resonated through the comms, steady and commanding. "You have done what few believed possible. You have made the enemy pause. You have shown the galaxy what it means to be human. But this is only the beginning. We will not rest. We will not falter. Our courage is contagious, and the universe must see it. Prepare yourselves. Earth will send more. 10 more fleets will follow, and they will know fear." In the alien armada, fear spread like wildfire. Some ships turned away, moving cautiously, reluctant to advance. Others hesitated mid-attack, unsure of the humans' next move. The commanders argued, voices sharp and tense. Their calculations no longer guaranteed victory. Humanity had changed the battlefield, not by numbers, but by spirit. One fleet, they realized, had been only the first spark, and sparks could ignite fires far larger than their control. On the colonies, civilians waited anxiously, yet hope flourished. People looked to the stars and whispered prayers, not only for survival, but for courage, for the bravery of those who faced the void and stood unyielding. The human spirit was no longer a whisper in the dark. It was a roar, felt even across the vacuum of space. Jaden Cross stood on the observation deck, looking at the stars beyond. "We're just a few ships," he said quietly, "but they think we are much more. And they are right. We are more. We always have been." His words, soft yet powerful, echoed in the hearts of those who heard them. Humanity was small, fragile in numbers, yet infinite in courage. That courage spread faster than any weapon, could, touching every mind, every heart, and even unsettling the enemy. Admiral Kane knew the lesson well. Fear, once sown in the enemy, could be cultivated. Humanity could grow stronger not only through technology or tactics, but through unity and determination. The aliens had learned something crucial. Humans did not flee. Humans did not surrender. And the seed of fear planted in the hearts of the invaders would grow. And so the galaxy watched silently as one fleet had not only survived, but changed everything. Fear had shifted from humanity to the alien invaders, and the humans, small, yet unyielding, prepared for what would come next. The battle was far from over, but the first triumph had been won. One fleet had terrified them, and the universe had begun to take notice. The air on Earth was thick with anticipation. After the First Fleet's success, humanity understood two things clearly. The aliens had hesitated, and hesitation could be turned into advantage. Across the globe, cities hummed with activity, shipyards glowed with energy, and engineers, pilots, and scientists worked tirelessly, fueled by the knowledge that every moment counted. One fleet had shown the galaxy what humans could do, but 10 fleets would make the universe remember. Admiral Leora Kane stood once again on the deck of the USS Dauntless, now orbiting Earth. Her eyes traced the lines of new ships forming in. The yards below, massive vessels of every design, sleek fighters, durable cruisers, and towering capital ships. Each fleet was larger, stronger, faster, and smarter than the last. Each carried humanity's courage like a shield. "This is the moment," she said softly, almost to herself. "The universe will see the fire that burns in human hearts. 10 fleets. 10 times their fear." In the shipyards, engineers tightened, bolts and calibrated energy cores. Weapons hummed, shields glowed, and pilots ran simulations over and over. The young and old worked side by side, each understanding that the survival of humanity depended not just on metal and machinery, but on spirit and unity. Families watched live streams of the fleets launching, cheering as each vessel slipped into the stars. Humanity was not just fighting, it was inspiring itself, proving to everyone that courage could be multiplied. Lieutenant Jaden Cross trained his squadron in simulations for the new fleets. "We thought one fleet was enough to shake them," he said, voice calm but determined. "We were wrong. 10 fleets will make them truly afraid. Remember that. Every move you make, every strike you deliver, it carries the strength of all humanity. We are not just fighting for ourselves. We are fighting for everyone who has ever dreamed of freedom, who has ever believed in courage." His pilots nodded, understanding the weight of those words. Fear had changed sides, and now it was the humans' time to press their advantage. Across the alien armada, reports from scouts trickled back like sparks to a dry forest. One fleet had survived, one fleet had fought, and now new ships were emerging from Earth in numbers that stunned even the most confident alien commanders. Panic rippled across their ranks. "They are multiplying," one hissed, voice sharp with alarm. 10 fleets! How is this possible? They were supposed to be weak, insignificant, and yet they come in strength unimaginable. The alien crews looked at each other, their usual arrogance shaken. Fear, something they had long thought extinct in their empire, now spread like wildfire. The first of the 10 fleets launched. Thousands of fighters lifted off the launch bays, glinting under the sun, engines burning bright against the darkness of space. Capital ships followed, immense and powerful, each carrying the pride of millions of humans who had worked tirelessly to make them real. As they rose, the sky glowed with movement, a dance of steel, courage, and human determination. Children pressed against windows, mouths open in awe, while adults whispered prayers and cheers mingled with tears. Humanity had turned fear into courage, and courage into action. Admiral Kane watched the First Fleet merge with the original ships already in orbit. She felt a swell of emotion, a mixture of pride, relief, and the quiet knowledge that the real battle was yet to come. "We show them the truth," she said softly. "Humanity is not small. Humanity is not weak. And humanity does not fear the dark." Her words echoed across the command bridge, touching every crew member, filling them with the same fire. The silence of space shattered like glass. The alien fleet, once hesitant, had decided to strike. Their massive ships surged forward with terrifying speed, weapons blazing, intent on crushing humanity before the 10 new fleets could fully assemble. The void was alive with energy beams, pulses of plasma, and the soundless roar of destruction. Humanity's greatest test had arrived. Admiral Leora Kane stood on the USS Dauntless, eyes unwavering as the first flashes of alien fire lit the darkness. "All units, brace for impact!" she commanded. Her voice was calm, but her heart thumped, in rhythm with the approaching storm. Every human ship in orbit, from the smallest fighter to the massive capital vessels, responded instantly, shields flaring, engines roaring, weapons primed. Humanity did not flinch. Humanity would not bow. Lieutenant Jaden Cross and his squadron streaked ahead, weaving through alien fire with unmatched skill. His small fighter danced through the chaos, every maneuver precise, yet daring. "Stay sharp," he called to his wingmen. "Don't just survive, make them fear us." Even as energy beams seared past them, the pilots pressed forward, striking. Critical points on alien cruisers, damaging engines, and forcing the enemy to split their formation. Every hit was a message. Humans were not prey. They were predators in their own right. Across the alien armada, confusion reigned. Ships that should have destroyed entire squadrons were now faltering. Coordinated attacks broke down. The invaders had expected fear, submission, surrender, but instead, they faced unyielding courage. One fleet had terrified them. 10 fleets now surged forward, overwhelming their calculations. Doubt crept into their command network like poison. On Earth, citizens watched live feeds in awe. Screens displayed flashes of battle, ships weaving in impossible patterns, and human pilots striking fear into alien hearts. Families held hands, some praying, some cheering, some both at once. The world felt the battle as if it were a heartbeat in their own chests. Humanity's unity, its courage, and its refusal to yield were visible in every flash of fire, every daring maneuver, every act of sacrifice. The alien dreadnoughts, massive vessels capable of destroying entire planets, moved forward with lethal intent. One aimed directly at Earth's central fleet. It fired, sending a wave of energy that could have obliterated dozens of human ships at once. But humanity was ready. 10 fleets had arrived, converging from all directions, and the dreadnought was soon surrounded. Human capital ships fired in perfect synchronization, their weapons blazing like a storm of fire and light. The alien dreadnought shuddered under the assault, engines failing, weapons disabled, and eventually exploded in a brilliant cascade of light that lit the darkness like a second sun. Lieutenant Cross led a daring strike against another alien ship, smaller but heavily armed. His fighter dodged beams and missiles, striking at critical systems. The alien vessel flinched under every attack, unable to anticipate the human tactics. "Again!" he shouted, his voice trembling with adrenaline and determination. Every pilot around him fought with the same intensity, the same refusal to die quietly. Humanity had discovered its greatest weapon, fearless courage multiplied by unity. Amid the battle, the cost became painfully real. Ships fell, explosions lit the void, and brave pilots were lost in moments of heroism. Admiral Kane allowed herself a brief, silent prayer for each lost soul. Tears threatened to fall, but she forced them back. There was no time for grief. Not yet. Every life lost strengthened humanity's resolve. Every sacrifice told the enemy that humans would never surrender. The alien commanders realized their miscalculation too late. Their strategy had relied on fear and submission. They had assumed humanity would retreat, flee, or beg for mercy. Instead, humans had multiplied their strength, turned fear into courage, and now pressed the attack. Ships that had been invincible were destroyed. Others retreated, hesitant and confused. One fleet had terrified them. 10 fleets had brought chaos. Back on Earth, people could hardly believe what they saw. 10 fleets, moving in perfect formation, overwhelming the invaders' numbers and power, had shifted the tide of battle. Every flash of weapon fire, every destroyed alien ship was a testament to human ingenuity, bravery, and unyielding spirit. Humanity was no longer a species to be underestimated. It was a force of nature, unstoppable, fearless, and proud. Lieutenant Cross paused briefly in his fighter, scanning the battlefield. His squadron was battered, but alive. His heart pounded not with fear, but with pride. "We did it," he whispered to himself. "We are showing them who we are." Around him, the human fleets moved as one, coordinated and relentless, striking not just with weapons, but with spirit, with courage, and with the knowledge that they were fighting for every life on Earth and every colony in the stars. Admiral Kane watched the alien fleet falter. Their retreat was slow, hesitant, and filled with confusion. Humanity had not only defended itself, it had sent a message that no force in the galaxy could ignore. One fleet had terrified them. 10 fleets had proven humans were a threat they could not calculate, a species they could not intimidate, and a civilization they could not destroy. The first phase of the battle ended with human fleets regrouping, engines glowing, weapons ready, spirits unbroken. The aliens had retreated, but only for now. Humanity had learned its strength, and the universe had taken notice. Courage had become a weapon, unity had become armor, and the human spirit had become a force even the most advanced invaders could not overcome. Lieutenant Jaden Cross watched the stars, now calm for a brief moment. "We're not done," he said quietly. "But today, we showed them fear." His squadron nodded, understanding the gravity of their actions. Humanity had survived. Humanity had struck back. Humanity had reminded the universe that courage could defy any odds. And somewhere beyond the edges of space, the alien commanders whispered in disbelief and fear. "These humans. One fleet terrified us. 10 fleets will not be forgotten." The alien armada had never experienced fear like this. Their fleet, once confident and unshakable, now moved cautiously, every ship trembling under the weight of the humans' resolve. 10 human fleets, larger and stronger than anything the aliens had imagined, surrounded them from every direction. Humanity had turned the battlefield into a trap, and the invaders were beginning to realize it. Admiral Leora Kane watched the alien ship's movements on the holomap, her eyes sharp, calculating, yet filled with emotion. This was the moment she had prepared for. Months of planning, years of training, decades of hope condensed into the silence of space before the storm. She spoke to her fleet calmly but firmly. "This is our chance. They are not invincible. They fear us, and fear is a weapon we can use. Strike with precision, move with unity, show them the human heart is unstoppable." Lieutenant Jaden Cross led a squadron of agile fighters toward the center of the alien formation. His pod shimmered in the reflection of distant starlight, engines blazing with energy. Around him, the other pilots mirrored his movements, weaving through beams of alien fire, striking at critical points in the enemy's defense. Each shot, each maneuver was more than strategy. It was a statement. Humanity would not yield. Humanity would not die quietly. The alien dreadnoughts, massive and powerful, fired relentlessly. Yet every strike was countered by human ingenuity and bravery. Shields flared, weapons countered, and even the smallest human fighter became a thorn. In the invaders' side, the aliens were calculating, but they could not measure spirit. They could not predict courage multiplied by determination, and that was their fatal flaw. On the bridge of the USS Dauntless, Admiral Kane allowed herself a moment to breathe, though her eyes never left the battle. "Remember who we fight for," she whispered. "Every life on Earth, every colony, every dream we have ever had. They are counting on us. Today, we fight not just for survival, but for humanity itself." Her words carried through the comms to every ship, every pilot, every human soul in the fleets. Courage spread like wildfire, and the humans moved as one unstoppable force. Lieutenant Cross dove through a cluster of alien ships, dodging energy blasts with impossible agility. His squadron followed, striking critical points and retreating. Before the enemy could respond, one alien ship exploded in a cascade of light, sending debris spiraling into the void. Every victory, no matter how small, added to the growing confidence of the humans and deepened the fear of the aliens. In the alien command network, panic was rising. Ships faltered, formations broke, and confusion spread like a virus. "They are relentless," one commander hissed, voice strained. "How can they move so boldly? One fleet was dangerous, yes, but 10 fleets. They surround us. They are everywhere." For the first time in centuries, the aliens doubted themselves. The humans had not only survived, they had turned the tide. On Earth, families watched in awe. Screens displayed the battle's fury, yet hope burned brighter than fear. Children pressed against windows, imagining themselves in the cockpit of a fighter, dodging alien fire. Adults cheered, cried, and prayed simultaneously. Humanity's courage was visible in every frame, every movement, every strike. It was no longer just a battle in space. It was a battle of hearts, and humanity was winning. As the alien fleet attempted a desperate maneuver to break free, human fleets converged, closing every escape route. 10 fleets moved with precision, blocking every avenue, cutting off any hope. The void of space was quiet once more, but the echoes of battle lingered. Human ships drifted among the debris of the alien armada, their engines glowing softly, shields flickering as repairs began. The first wave of panic had passed, replaced by a profound sense of achievement. Humanity had faced the impossible and survived. Humanity had fought, and the universe had noticed. Admiral Leora Kane walked the bridge of the USS Dauntless, her uniform crisp but her posture slightly weary. Her eyes swept across the fleet, observing damaged vessels and exhausted crews. She allowed herself a rare moment of reflection. "We have won today," she said softly, speaking more to herself than anyone else. But not because of weapons or numbers. Because of courage. Because of human hearts that refused to yield. Lieutenant Jaden Cross floated in the cockpit of his fighter, staring at the stars beyond. The battle had been brutal, each maneuver testing skill and nerve to the limit. He thought of his squadron, of friends who had fought and fallen. He thought of every life on Earth and the colonies that depended on them. And he realized something profound. Humanity's strength was not in technology or firepower alone. It was in their unity, their spirit, and their refusal to surrender. Across the fleet, pilots repaired their ships and checked systems, tired but resolute. They spoke in hushed tones, sharing stories of daring maneuvers and near misses. Laughter mingled with exhaustion, and pride mingled with sorrow. Humanity had paid a price, but the cost had been worth it. They had survived, and they had triumphed. Back on Earth, the people celebrated cautiously. Streets were filled with cheers, lights glowed in every city, and families embraced one another tightly. The live broadcasts of the battle showed damaged human ships, yes, but also the retreat of the alien armada, their fear and hesitation unmistakable. Children looked up at the night sky, imagining themselves as pilots among the stars. Adults whispered prayers of gratitude and pride. Humanity had proven it could face the unknown and not bow. In the aftermath, reports flowed in from across the galaxy. Colonies that had feared destruction sent messages of relief and celebration. Engineers noted the lessons of the battle, strategies for the future, and improvements for ship design. Humanity had grown stronger not just in technology, but in spirit. They had faced terror and emerged victorious, and that victory would echo through generations. Lieutenant Cross removed his helmet, letting his hair fall loosely across his forehead. He thought of the alien ships, the fear in their movements, the hesitation he had seen in their eyes. Humanity had done more than survive. They had instilled fear in a force that had known none, and that, he realized, was something that could never be measured in weapons or numbers. One fleet had terrified them. 10 fleets had made the invaders question everything they thought they knew. Admiral Kane addressed the fleet through the comms, her voice steady and resonant. Today we proved what it means to be human, not perfect, not invincible, but unyielding, courageous, united. Let this victory remind us that no force, no matter how large or advanced, can break the spirit of those who refuse to surrender. Prepare for repairs, prepare for the next mission, but never forget what we accomplished today. Even in the quiet moments, the human crews felt the weight of their achievement. The aliens had retreated, but they would return. The threat was not gone, and the universe would not wait. But humanity had gained something far greater than temporary peace. They had discovered the strength that lay within themselves, the courage, to face overwhelming odds and the unity that made them unstoppable. On Earth, celebrations were tempered by reflection. Families lit candles for those lost in battle, honoring bravery and sacrifice. Scientists and engineers shared tears of pride for the fleet that had fought so valiantly. Children drew pictures of the stars, of ships glowing in defiance against dark alien shapes. And in every heart, a seed of confidence and hope had taken root. Humanity had faced the unknown and survived, and in doing so, had become something greater than it had ever imagined. Lieutenant Cross looked at the horizon from his ship's observation deck. The stars were calm, yet alive with possibility. "This is just the beginning," he said quietly. His words carried weight and promise. "The universe has seen us now. They will not forget, and neither will we." Around him, other pilots nodded, understanding that their courage had created a ripple far beyond the battlefield. Admiral Kane stood silently on the bridge of the Dauntless, gazing at the retreating alien ships. She allowed herself a small, proud smile. Humanity had survived what seemed impossible. Humanity had fought not for conquest, but for survival, for honor, and for each other. The aliens had feared them, and that fear was proof of their triumph. One fleet had terrified them. 10 fleets had proven humanity's true power. And as the stars shimmered beyond the void, humanity took its first steps toward a future where courage and unity were stronger than fear. The battle was over, but the legend had begun. One day, children would tell stories of the fleets that faced the darkness and did not bow. Adults would remember the day humans stood together and changed the course of history. Humanity had survived, humanity had triumphed, and humanity would never be forgotten. The stars were calm, yet alive with the memory of battle. Across the galaxy, the aftermath of humanity's courage echoed like a song of hope. 10 fleets had risen from Earth, striking terror into an alien armada that had never known fear. One fleet had been daring, but 10 fleets had been unstoppable. The aliens retreated, scarred and shaken, leaving humanity to bask in both victory and reflection. Admiral Leora Kane stood on the deck of the USS Dauntless, looking at the assembled fleets. Ships moved in formation, engines glowing, weapons still primed, but the tension had lifted. The silence was no longer fear, it was triumph. Her heart swelled with pride as she surveyed the crews, each face showing exhaustion, relief, and an unyielding spirit. Humanity had faced the impossible and emerged victorious. Lieutenant Jaden Cross floated in his fighter pod, staring at the vast expanse of space. The void, once threatening, now felt like a canvas. He thought of every friend, every fallen comrade, every pilot who had fought with courage and sacrifice. A deep sense of peace settled over him, mingled with pride. "We did it," he whispered. "We showed them who we are, and we will never stop." Around him, his squadron shared quiet nods, the bonds of battle stronger than words. Across the alien armada, disarray reigned. Ships that had once been part of a vast, confident machine now fled in confusion. Commanders argued, strategists despaired, and a creeping fear spread through every crew. Humanity had changed the rules of engagement. One fleet had terrified them, 10 fleets had humiliated them. The invaders now understood something fundamental. Courage, unity, and determination were forces no weapon could destroy. Back on Earth, the people erupted in celebration. Streets were filled with cheers, music, and light. Families embraced, tears streaming down faces. Children looked at the night sky, imagining themselves as pilots among the stars, heroes in a story of courage. Across the globe, humanity felt a shared heartbeat, a pride that had never been this strong. One fleet had returned to tell the tale, and 10 fleets had ensured it would be remembered forever. Admiral Kane addressed the fleet over comms, her voice resonant and proud. "Today, we proved what it means to be human. We fought not just to survive, but to protect our homes, our families, and our future. We fought with courage, with unity, and with the knowledge that fear could not bind us. One fleet terrified them. 10 fleets made them run. Let this victory remind the galaxy that humanity will never yield." Pilots, engineers, and crew members listened, hearts swelling with emotion. Every ship, every individual had played a part. Every sacrifice, every daring maneuver, every moment of bravery had contributed to this triumph. The universe had witnessed humanity's courage, and no one would ever doubt it again. Lieutenant Cross gazed at the stars beyond, remembering the chaos, the energy beams, the explosions, and the lives lost. Yet amid the sorrow was hope. Humanity had survived, had inspired one another, and had struck fear into an enemy that had never known it. Courage had become a weapon, unity had become armor, and the human spirit had become an unstoppable force. The fleets regrouped, engines humming, shields repaired, weapons primed but no longer needed. Humanity had learned something essential. Strength was not only in numbers or technology, but in the heart, the mind, and the willingness to fight for what mattered most. Every pilot, every soldier, every engineer understood the lesson. They were not just surviving, they were defining the future of the galaxy. On Earth, celebrations continued into the night. Cities glowed like constellations, fireworks mimicking the flashes of battle above. Families held hands, honoring those lost and celebrating those who had returned. Humanity had proven that even against impossible odds, courage could turn the tide, fear could be reversed, and unity could overcome any force. Admiral Kane finally allowed herself a moment of personal reflection. She thought of every decision made, every risk taken, every life entrusted to her command. Humanity had achieved the impossible. One fleet had frightened the invaders, yes, but 10 fleets had cemented humanity's reputation as a species that would never bow, never surrender, never yield to fear. Her eyes glistened with tears of pride. "Lieutenant,"